For many fans of Silent Hill, the town's fog-drenched streets, the eerie monsters and unsettling psychological torment are iconic for the franchise. But in the background of the well-known stories of characters like Pyramid Head and James Sunderland lies a more obscure and less understood secret about the town itself. While much of Silent Hill's mythology revolves around religious cults, tormented individuals, and manifestations of personal guilt, the true roots of the town's evil are far, far older. Older than any one individual or any event. Now, before we begin, I would be thankful if you subscribe, preferably to my channel. Not only do you make my day, but you also know when the next video arrives, so you can have another cozy moment very soon. Now, the town's real power comes from something far more ancient, a Native American ritual site, long before the colonists arrived. Before Silent Hill became a tourist resort or a mist-shrouded nightmare, the area was sacred to the Native Americans, who considered it a place of spiritual significance. They believed that the land was a gateway to the other world, a place where the spirit realm overlapped with the material world. This portal was said to be a source of great power, where the veil between life and death and past and the present was thin. Ceremonies and rituals were conducted to honor the spirits and maintain balance between the worlds. Now, over time, the colonization, the greed and the desecration of the sacred grounds threw the natural balance out of order, and the rituals that once kept the peace between the two worlds were forgotten, and the land's latent power began to twist and corrupt. This ancient site, now buried beneath the town of Silent Hill, is the true source of the otherworldly horrors that plague its inhabitants. So, ancient site beneath Silent Hill is intrinsically linked to the dark history of the town. The ancient site beneath Silent Hill is not just an isolated location. It is actually the very heart of the town's evil. It radiates a corrupting influence that spreads throughout the town, and the people who enter the area often find themselves confronting with not just the horrors of the place, but also their own personal demons. You could say this site acts like a mirror, amplifying their deepest regrets and the guilt and any unresolved trauma that they have. For instance, characters like Harry Mason and James Sunderland are forced to confront their past sins or failings, whether it's their inability to protect loved ones or actions taken under duress. Silent Hill psychologically torture them by bringing these emotional burdens to the surface, twisting the town's supernatural elements around their personal histories. The energy that flows from the ancient site creates a psychological pressure that distorts the perception of reality. People's greatest fears, nightmares and anxieties are brought to life in grotesque forms. And the manifestation of these fears isn't just random, it's actually deeply personal, catering to each individual's inner darkness. And as characters venture deeper into the site's influence, they experience increasing confusion, disorientation, and sometimes even complete psychological breakdowns. The lines between reality and an illusion becomes blurred, and the deeper one goes, the less one can trust their own mind. One of the most psychological harrowing aspects of the ancient site is the overwhelming sense of inescapability. People who venture into Silent Hill often feel like they're trapped in a nightmarish loop with no clear way out. The site's influence causes time and space to fold upon themselves, making it nearly impossible to leave. Characters like Heather and Harry often face the oppressive sensation of being pursued not just by physical entities but by fate itself. The Toluca prison and the burial grounds, one little known aspect of Silent Hill's lore, ties directly into these ancient roots as well. Toluca prison, this structure originally constructed by early settlers, was built on a land that had been sacred to the Native Americans. Instead of being a simple prison for criminals, Toluca prison became a place of incredible suffering and despair. The energies from the desecrated burial grounds seeped into the prison and corrupting it, causing the walls of reality to weaken. The prisoners often reported seeing things, figures and shadows moving in the night, hearing whispers from unseen voices. Now many died under, of course, mysterious circumstances, but the prison gained a reputation for being cursed. Eventually, it was abandoned, but its legacy of suffering only feed the dark powers of the land further. Now you might say prisons are inherently isolating places, but Toluca prison amplifies this psychological isolation. The vast empty cells and the long corridors and the oppressive atmosphere creates a sense of loneliness and abandonment. This is especially true in Silent Hill 2, where the prison acts like kinda symbolic journey through James' mind. The deeper he descends into the prison, the more the past comes alive in vivid and painful ways. The echo of Mary's death and his action leading up to it haunts him in the very walls of the prison. For many characters, the psychological impact of this solitude is intense, as it allows suppressed thoughts and memories to surface. One of the most overlooked aspects of Silent Hill's geography is the Toluca Lake. It is located near the Toluca prison. The proximity of the lake to the prison suggests that the lake might be a quiet witness to the horrors that unfolded in the town. You could say it's acting like a silent observer. It's often seen as a scenic background. This large body of water plays a far more sinister role in the town's supernatural phenomena. In fact, many of those who have ventured out into the lake have either disappeared or returned, but of course changed. The lake is also tied to the Native Americans' belief in a spirit world. Early settlers reported strange occurrences such as natural fogs and eerie noises, and the sighting of figures walking on the water. Some theorize that Toluca Lake acts as a focal point for the town's dark energy, another mirror to the other world. Toluca Lake represents an element of Silent Hill that is often associated with reflection and the subconscious mind. Water, in many psychological and symbolic interpretations, can represent emotions and memories, and of course, the subconscious. In Silent Hill 2, James Sunderland's journey is deeply intertwined with the lake. It is the site of his final confrontation with his guilt and his actions surrounding the death of his wife Mary. The narrative suggests that James brought her to the lake just before her death, a final attempt to reconcile with her. The lake's still surface acts as a mirror to James' psyche, reflecting his emotional states and forcing him to reckon with the memories that he has tried to repress. The lake, with its calm and peaceful exterior, contrasts sharply with the disturbing and horrific events that transpires around it. The quiet waters may seem tranquil at first glance, but just like the town itself, there's a hidden darkness lurking beneath the surface, much like the repressed feelings and unresolved guilt that James has buried within himself. While the Order, a cult that worship a mysterious god and believes in manifesting divine power through suffering, takes the stage in many Silent Hill games, their practice are actually an appropriation of a much older ritual. The Order was founded by settlers who encountered the remnants of the Native Americans' belief and began to twist these ancient practices to suit their own needs. They sought to use the town's latent power for their own religious purpose, attempting to harness the supernatural energy through rituals of pain and sacrifice, and of course resurrection. However, their actions only succeeded in further corrupting the town, transforming it into the nightmarish realm that we see today. The Order, rather than being the architects of Silent Hill's evil, were simply pawns in a much older, darker game. Now, one chilling interpretation of the town's true nature is the idea that the Silent Hill itself is alive, a sentient entity feeding on the emotion and pain, and of course of the fear of everyone who enters its domain. It creates its monsters not just from the minds of the individuals like Alessa or James, but from the accumulated trauma of centuries. The town calls out people, drawing them in, wrapping reality around them, and each person who steps into Silent Hill experiences their own unique version of hell, because the town itself is creating it from their darkest secrets and regrets. The deeper one goes, the more twisted and personal the horrors become, and there is no escape, because the town feeds on the despair. Those who visit Silent Hill, whether driven by guilt or revenge or curiosity, just like the reason you guys are here, are merely stepping into a story that began long before them. A story of a town that has always existed at the crossroad of life and death, a crossroad of reality and nightmare. And like so many before them, they find that once they enter, the town never truly lets them leave. And I see you again.